In life, one of the most valuable gifts Allah has given you is your time, your energy, and the peace within your heart. These are treasures that cannot be replaced once they are wasted, and yet many people give them away freely, often to those who don't value them, don't protect them, and sometimes don't even appreciate them. There comes a moment when you must wake up and realize that not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone should have the key to your mind, your heart, or your emotional space. When you constantly say yes to everything and everyone, even at the cost of your own well-being, you slowly drain yourself until there is nothing left to give. Protecting your peace is not selfishness. It is wisdom. It is maturity. It is recognizing that you cannot pour into others from an empty cup. Your peace is your power, and when you lose it, everything else in your life becomes unstable. One of the greatest truths you will ever learn in life is that your time, your energy, and your inner peace are among the most precious gifts Allah has placed under your responsibility. These gifts do not come back once they are spent. They cannot be repaired once they are broken. They cannot be shared endlessly without consequence. Yet many people live their lives offering these treasures freely to everyone. Friends, acquaintances, strangers, co-workers, even people who bring negativity or chaos, without ever pausing to ask whether these individuals are worthy of such access. Understanding the value of these blessings is the first step toward protecting your emotional and mental well-being. Time is not just minutes and hours, it is the essence of your life. Every moment that passes becomes part of your story, part of your journey, part of who you eventually become. When you give your time to people who do not appreciate it, you are giving away pieces of your life that you will never reclaim. Every time you say yes when you should say no, every time you agree to help someone who repeatedly drains you, every time you sit in conversations that exhaust your spirit, you're losing something that should have been preserved for your growth, your purpose, or your peace. And when your time is wasted, your energy follows. Energy is your emotional currency. It is the strength you use to face challenges, pursue goals, show kindness, and serve your Creator. If you allow the wrong people to drain your energy, you will eventually find yourself tired, irritated, unfocused, and emotionally worn out. Some people feed your soul with encouragement, positivity, and understanding. Others do the opposite. They demand, complain, manipulate, or take advantage of your kindness. When you constantly give your energy to people who only take and never replenish, you slowly lose the ability to be present for the things and people that truly matter. Then comes the most delicate gift of all, your inner peace. Your peace is your sanctuary. It is the stability of your heart, the clarity of your mind, and the calmness of your soul. When peace is disturbed, everything in your life becomes unsettled. You lose your spiritual focus, your emotional balance, your sense of direction. Many people unknowingly hand over their peace to those who do nothing but disrupt it. They allow others to invade their minds with negativity, their hearts with stress, and their days with unnecessary drama. They tolerate disrespect, absorb other people's problems, and carry burdens that were never theirs to carry. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it is essential. Without it, you cannot thrive, grow, or even worship with sincerity. Once you recognize the true worth of these gifts, you begin to understand that not everyone deserves a place in your emotional space. You learn that you do not owe access to people who misuse it. You realize that your time should go to those who value your presence, your energy to those who uplift your spirit, and your peace to those who respect your boundaries. You start choosing wisely, speaking wisely, giving wisely. You become more intentional about who you let close, who you listen to, and who you allow to influence your heart. Protecting these gifts is an act of gratitude to Allah. It is acknowledging that He entrusted you with something valuable and that you must safeguard it. When you honor your time, when you guard your energy, when you defend your peace, you cultivate a life that feels lighter, healthier, and spiritually stronger. And in doing so, you become the best version of yourself, focused, calm, purposeful, and aligned with the path Allah meant for you. There comes a point in your life when you must understand that saying no and setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but one of wisdom, clarity, and emotional maturity. Many people struggle with the fear of disappointing others, being misunderstood or appearing unkind. They feel obligated to accept every request, attend every gathering, respond to every message, and be available at every moment. But this constant availability slowly becomes a trap, one that drains your emotional strength, damages your mental well-being, and causes you to lose control over your own life. Learning to say no is learning to protect yourself from being overwhelmed, exploited, or mentally burdened by things that were never meant to be your responsibility in the first place. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you from others, but healthy limits that define where you end and where someone else begins. They remind you that your emotional health matters just as much as anyone else's. When you fail to set boundaries, people naturally assume you are always open, always willing, always ready to give more. They begin to expect your time, your energy, and your attention without realizing the cost you pay internally. And slowly, without noticing, you start living for others instead of living with balance and purpose. When you say no, you are not rejecting a person. You are choosing yourself. You are choosing your peace, your priorities, your emotional capacity. You are acknowledging that your mental space is not infinite, that your energy is not limitless, and that you cannot carry everything for everyone. People who truly value you will respect your boundaries. Those who get angry or offended by them are often the very people who benefited from your lack of boundaries in the first place. Their reaction reveals their intentions. Saying no gives you the freedom to focus on what truly matters. It allows you to honor your commitments, invest in your growth, and protect your emotional clarity. Without boundaries, even good things become overwhelming. Every task feels heavier. Every conversation feels tiring. Every day feels like a race you never signed up for. Boundaries bring structure to your emotional world. They guide you in choosing wisely where your heart, your energy, and your attention should go. You must also recognize that your mind and heart were never meant to handle the weight of everyone else's expectations. You are not responsible for fixing every problem, mediating every conflict, or being the emotional support system for anyone who needs it. You can care without carrying. You can help without harming yourself. You can be kind without being depleted. Saying no allows you to give from a place of strength rather than exhaustion. It is important to understand that boundaries are a sign of emotional intelligence. They show that you are aware of your limits, your needs, and your values. They prevent resentment, burnout, and emotional fatigue. They protect your relationships from becoming imbalanced or draining. When you set clear boundaries, you teach others how to treat you. You communicate that your time has value, your emotions matter, and your peace is not something to be played with. Many people fear that saying no will push others away, but the truth is that the people who belong in your life will remain. Boundaries do not destroy meaningful connections, they strengthen them. They create healthier interactions, clearer expectations, and deeper respect. They protect you from people who only take and never give, from situations that exhaust you, and from commitments that suffocate you. At the end of the day, saying no is not a rejection of others. It is a form of self-respect. It is an act of choosing a healthier, calmer, and more intentional way of living. When you learn to set boundaries without guilt, you reclaim your life. You create space for peace, growth, and alignment. You honor your emotional well-being, and you protect the beautiful gift of inner stability that Allah has given you. One of the most important skills you can develop in life is the ability to distinguish between the people who uplift you and the people who drain you. Not everyone you interact with is meant to support your growth, protect your heart, or contribute positively to your journey. Some people enter your life as a source of strength, bringing encouragement, sincerity, and goodness. They help you see your own potential, remind you of your worth, and inspire you to become better. Being around them feels effortless because their presence nourishes your soul rather than exhausting it. These individuals are rare and valuable, and recognizing them is a blessing. But then there are people whose presence feels heavy. They drain your energy through constant negativity, criticism, or emotional demands. They expect more than they give, take more than they understand, and often leave you feeling tired, stressed, or uncomfortable after every interaction. They may not always have bad intentions, but their influence on your mental and emotional state becomes harmful over time. And if you're not careful, their negativity begins to shape your thoughts, disrupt your peace, and weaken your motivation. Understanding this difference is crucial for protecting yourself and maintaining emotional balance. People who uplift you carry a spirit of positivity. They speak with kindness even when correcting you. They celebrate your victories without jealousy and support you during difficulty without hesitation. Their presence brings clarity. They don't compete with you, nor do they belittle your dreams. They push you toward growth, encourage you to do better, and remind you of what truly matters. When you spend time with uplifting people, you feel renewed. You feel understood, valued, and respected. Their energy adds to your life instead of subtracting from it. In contrast, those who drain you often create emotional noise. They complain without seeking solutions. They criticize without offering support. They gossip, demand attention, or use you as a source of validation. Their problems become your problems, and their dissatisfaction becomes your burden. You find yourself feeling mentally tired after being around them, even if the interaction was short. They may cross boundaries, ignore your limits, or expect you to always be available. Their presence feels chaotic, and their absence feels peaceful. Recognizing who uplifts you and who drains you isn't about judging others. It's about understanding what your mind, heart, and soul need in order to function at their best. You are not created to carry unnecessary emotional weight. You are not meant to be everyone's comfort, everyone's counselor, or everyone's solution. Allah blessed you with a heart that needs protecting, a mind that needs clarity, and energy that needs direction. When you allow the wrong people to take too much from you, you lose connection with your purpose and weaken your inner balance. By identifying uplifting people, you learn where to invest your time and emotional presence. By recognizing draining people, you learn where to limit your access and build necessary boundaries. This awareness does not make you cold or distant. It makes you wise. It helps you form healthier relationships, choose better company, and preserve your emotional strength for those who genuinely matter. You start to understand that you don't need large circles, you just need meaningful ones. Eventually, you realize that your life becomes calmer and more focused when you surround yourself with people who respect your peace. And once you begin to protect your peace, you naturally distance yourself from those who disturb it. This shift will feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to pleasing others. But over time, you'll discover that your happiness, productivity, and spiritual well-being depend heavily on the company you keep. So choose wisely. Choose people who make you feel lighter, not people who leave you feeling empty. Choose those who remind you of your goodness, not those who make you question your worth. Choose the company that aligns with your peace, your values, and your purpose. Your emotional health depends on it, and your future self will be grateful for it. One of the hardest but most important realizations in life is accepting that not every relationship, friendship, or connection is meant to last forever. People come into your life for different reasons. Some to teach you, some to support you, some to challenge you, and some simply to accompany you for a short chapter. Yet many people cling tightly to relationships long after the season has ended, hoping things will return to how they used to be, even when every sign shows that the chapter has closed. Holding on to what is no longer meant for you can drain your heart, disturb your peace, and prevent you from moving toward what Allah has written for your future. Letting go is not a sign of defeat or failure. It is a sign of growth and understanding. When Allah removes someone from your life, it is often because their role in your journey has been fulfilled. Perhaps they taught you a lesson that shaped your character. Perhaps they brought clarity to your values. Perhaps they showed you what you deserve or what you should never tolerate again. Whatever the reason, their exit is part of your development. Life becomes easier when you accept this truth instead of resisting it. Sometimes the people you care about deeply change over time. Their attitudes shift, their priorities evolve, or their behavior becomes hurtful. The connection that once brought comfort begins to bring confusion or pain. The conversations that once felt uplifting start to feel heavy. Yet out of loyalty, history, or fear of loneliness, you hold on. But the reality is that not everyone who started with you is meant to stay with you until the end. Just because a person was good for your past does not mean they are good for your future. There are also times when Allah protects you by closing a door you were too attached to. You might feel heartbroken, abandoned, or disappointed, wondering why something that felt so important had to end. But Allah sees what you cannot. He knows what is being discussed behind closed doors, what is hidden in hearts, and what lies ahead in your destiny. What feels like rejection is often divine protection. What feels like loss is sometimes a gift in disguise. The moment you trust Allah's plan over your own attachment, you begin to understand why certain people could not stay. Letting go also means making peace with growth. As you grow spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, you will naturally outgrow certain connections. You become more aware of what aligns with your peace and what disrupts it. You become more conscious of what nourishes your soul and what harms it. Growth demands change, and change often requires distancing yourself from what no longer contributes to your well-being. This is not arrogance, it is self-respect. You are allowed to protect your heart from relationships that drain you, conversations that belittle you, or environments that hinder your progress. The beauty of letting go is that it creates space in your life. Space for healing, space for clarity, space for better connections. When you release someone who is not meant for your path, Allah can bring someone who is. When you stop chasing what is leaving, you begin welcoming what is coming. Every ending opens the door to a new beginning, a new lesson, a new version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose. In the end, letting go is an act of trust. It is believing that Allah never removes something from your life without replacing it with something better, whether immediately or in the future. It is trusting that everything that left was never meant to harm you, but to guide you. So accept what has ended, release what is heavy, and make room for what is destined. Your peace, your growth, and your future depend on it. One of the greatest gifts Allah places in the heart of a believer is peace, and anything that protects that peace naturally strengthens your connection with Him. A calm heart is a heart that remembers Allah with clarity. A peaceful mind is one that can reflect, understand, and make wise decisions. When your inner world is settled, you can see blessings more clearly. You can feel gratitude more deeply, and you can worship with sincerity. But when your peace is disturbed by people, environments, or thoughts that exhaust your spirit, your connection with Allah becomes clouded. You find yourself distracted, emotionally scattered, and spiritually distant. Not because you don't want closeness, but because your inner space has become overwhelmed by unnecessary noise. Protecting your peace becomes a form of ibadah because it guards the very heart through which you connect with your Creator. When you remove yourself from the company of people who bring negativity, you are not simply protecting your emotions, you are protecting the state of your heart. You are choosing to preserve the spiritual environment within you, the quiet place from which your dua emerges, your salah gains focus, and your gratitude flows. A disturbed heart struggles to reflect, but a peaceful heart absorbs guidance effortlessly. Many people underestimate how much relationships affect spirituality. Being around people who constantly complain, gossip, argue, or create drama slowly drains your emotional and spiritual energy. You might not notice the impact immediately, but over time, you begin to feel heavier, more anxious, and more disconnected. You might even find acts of worship becoming harder, not because you lack faith, but because your heart has been consumed by emotional clutter. By distancing yourself from those who disturb your peace, you create space for tranquility, sincerity, and spiritual clarity to return. A peaceful heart is more receptive to reminders from the Quran. It is more patient during tests, more grateful during blessings, and more hopeful during hardship. When your peace is intact, the whispers of shaitan lose their power because your heart is not confused or weakened. You become more aware of the blessings you once overlooked. You appreciate quiet moments. You notice Allah's mercy in the smallest details. You begin to feel that Allah is with you, guiding you, comforting you, and strengthening you in ways you had not recognized before. Protecting your peace also means choosing environments that bring you closer to Allah rather than pulling you away. Sitting with people who remind you of goodness, who speak with kindness, who encourage your growth, and who carry themselves with dignity naturally uplifts your heart. Their presence becomes a blessing, a source of motivation, and a mirror that reflects who you can become. In contrast, remaining in environments filled with negativity, sin, disrespect, or constant conflict makes the heart restless. It becomes harder to maintain sincerity when your surroundings constantly push you towards stress or negativity. Your heart deserves better. When you begin valuing your peace, you also begin valuing your time, especially the time you spend with Allah. You start craving moments of quiet reflection, moments of sincere dua, moments where you can breathe deeply and reconnect. You no longer wish to waste hours on meaningless conversations or relationships that leave you emotionally empty. You favor depth over noise, sincerity over chaos, and connection over distraction. This shift is a sign of spiritual maturity. It shows that your heart is waking up. Ultimately, protecting your peace is protecting your iman. It preserves your ability to worship with presence, to think with clarity, to love with sincerity, and to live with purpose. When you guard your heart from unnecessary chaos, you allow Allah's tranquility to enter it. You begin to experience a peacefulness that the world cannot give and cannot take away. This is why protecting your peace is not just beneficial, it is essential. It strengthens your relationship with Allah, stabilizes your emotions, and helps you walk through life with confidence, gratitude, and inner calm.